So, folks, I'm not an artificial intelligence expert, and I don't have particularly strong opinions about it. Like everyone else, I read that artificial intelligence is becoming increasingly important and pervasive. Some say it is indispensable, others say it might even be dangerous. However, to the extent that it will continue to grow, as seems likely, there is no question that data centers performing the algorithms that implement artificial intelligence will require an enormous amount of energy in the form of electricity, as shown in the chart here. To function properly, data centers demand exceptionally high quality electricity. That is, uninterrupted service with very high reliability, 99.999%, as well as excellent voltage and frequency stability. For this reason, data centers must have backup power, often in the form of diesel generators, that kick in if the primary power source is unavailable. In addition, it is desirable, some may say it is imperative, that the push for artificial intelligence be powered by clean energy sources, sources that do not emit greenhouse gases contributing to climate change. Now, scanning the landscape of energy technologies that are available to us, one quickly realizes that nuclear energy is an almost ideal energy source to power data centers. First, unlike fossil fuels, nuclear reactors don't generate and emit carbon dioxide. So if only 20% of the projected energy required for data centers in the United States between now and 2030 was provided by nuclear reactors, as opposed to, say, natural gas plants, it would avoid over 40 million tons of CO2 emissions annually. And that's equivalent to removing about 10 million cars from the road. Unlike intermittent renewables, for example, solar and wind, nuclear reactors are very reliable, providing stable, high-quality electricity 24/7 throughout the year. On a per-unit energy generated, nuclear reactors are also very compact and don't consume large amounts of land. For example, if all of the projected energy required to power data centers in the US between now and 2030 was provided by nuclear reactors, it would take up only 8 square miles of land versus 3,000 square miles, that is 3 times the size of Rhode Island, if that same energy was provided by solar photovoltaic panels. This means nuclear reactors can be sited with greater flexibility, close to the data centers that they would serve, thus reducing the need for bulky and costly transmission lines to deliver their electricity. We will get back to this aspect later in the talk. In the context of powering data centers, nuclear energy can be used in a variety of approaches. Approach number 1. Part or all of the power output of large nuclear reactors currently connected to the electric grid could be diverted to data centers. And those reactors could be specially compensated by the data center developers for their reliable and carbon-free electricity supply, for example, through power purchase agreements. While this is the simplest and fastest way to power new data centers, it introduces the obvious challenge of finding replacement power to serve other loads on the grid that were previously served by the nuclear reactors. As such, in the United States, we are starting to see energy regulators push back on this approach for legitimate reasons. Approach number 2. Nuclear reactors that were shut down in recent years due to economic reasons could be brought back online and dedicated to powering new data centers, either co-located with the reactors or connected via the electric grid. This approach effectively equates to bringing new electric capacity online and is a win-win situation for everyone involved. First, since refurbishing a shut-down reactor is considerably cheaper and faster than building a new one, the data centers can get the electricity they need quickly and at a competitive price, while the reactor owners and operators get to extract a lot of additional value from a facility that otherwise would be heading for dismantlement and decommissioning. Also, local towns and counties get back the tax revenue and well-paid jobs from the operation of the reconstituted nuclear plant. And finally, the grid gets some extra spinning capacity, although tied to a new load. The recently announced deal between Microsoft and Constellation about the refurbishment and recommissioning of the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant follows this approach. Of course, everybody knows that 3 Mile Island is the site where the United States' worst nuclear accident took place in 1979. However, not everybody knows that there were 2 reactors at that site, and the one that did not experience the accident then continued to operate successfully and reliably until it was eventually shut down in 2019, 40 years later. It is that reactor that is being brought back as part of the Microsoft Constellation deal. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the NRC, will perform a thorough review of the physical status of the plant, as well as the readiness of the operators. If the outcome of that review is positive, and after a number of repairs and upgrades are completed, then the NRC will grant a new license and the plant will come back into operation. Well, this approach is quite smart. There are not many reactors sitting around idle and mothballed, ready to be brought back to life. So we need to think about approach number 3. These are new reactors built specifically to power new data centers. The recent announcements by Google and Amazon about the use of advanced nuclear reactors to power the AI data centers in the 2030s are consistent with this approach. In this approach, co-location of the new data centers and nuclear reactors makes the most economic and environmental sense. Co-location drastically reduces the need for transmission capacity because the energy used by the data centers is generated next door, so to speak. So for example, with this approach, a data center consuming 200 megawatts of electricity could save over $100 million per year just in transmission charges. In this approach, the electric grid functions as a backup power source, obviating the need for dirty diesel generators on site. Co-location also creates synergies around cooling. Both nuclear reactors and data centers require cooling to dissipate the heat generated by their operation. Cooling can be wet, that is using water from a nearby reservoir, river, ocean, etc., or it can be dry, that is using air from the atmosphere. In either case, the nuclear reactors and data centers can share cooling infrastructures, that is air fans, water intakes and outfalls, cooling towers, etc., thus reducing the overall cost of the facilities. The integration of these systems is not trivial and will need serious engineering to satisfy requirements of reliability, safety, environmental sustainability, and efficiency. Finally, co-location also creates synergies around physical and cyber security. Given the apparent growing importance of AI capabilities to our daily lives, to our businesses and national security, data centers will be viewed increasingly as strategic infrastructure that must be protected. Similarly, nuclear reactors must be protected against the threat of terrorism and sabotage. Co-location, once again, allows for sharing security resources, reducing cost, and maximizing that protection. The advanced nuclear technologies contemplated for the new data centers vary from microreactors, reactors generating only a few megawatts, to small modular reactors. These are systems generating a few hundred megawatts, to large reactors, which are in the thousands of megawatts range. Within each category, there are reactor designs that use different coolants, for example, water, helium gas, liquid metals, molten salts, with different fuel forms and enrichment levels, as well as operating at different temperatures. There are many companies in the United States and around the globe that are hard at work to develop these designs, demonstrate their safety, and push them through the lengthy licensing process on the road to commercialization. One thing is clear. None of these reactors will be cheap, especially in the first-of-a-kind projects. So the above-described synergies with the co-located data centers will be essential to achieving attractive economics from the start, which in turn will invite investment and further development of the technologies. The rise of artificial intelligence presents both a tremendous opportunity and profound responsibility. Powering these revolutions sustainably is not just a technical challenge, It's a global imperative. Nuclear energy stands as a uniquely positioned solution offering clean, reliable, and scalable power for the data centers that will drive AI forward. As we confront the challenges of energy and climate in the 21st century, I invite you to reimagine nuclear energy not as a relic of the past, but as a vital component of our shared future. Imagine a world where every AI breakthrough is powered by electricity that doesn't harm the planet. Imagine data centers that not only advance human progress, but do so with integrity, free from emissions, resilient in reliability, and efficient in design. The decisions we make today will define the legacy of AI, energy, and our planet. The question is not whether we can achieve this transformation, is whether we choose to. Let us explore, innovate, and collaborate to build the clean energy systems that will power tomorrow's technologies. The future is bright, but only if we illuminate it with sustainable choices. Let's turn neutrons into networks and create a better world together.